Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to talk about this morning. The return of football, what that means in relation to testing, etc. Also, we'll be doing a Goldbridge versus Rio Ferdinand. What 3 signings get United back to where they need to be this summer? You decide. But we're going to start, and there's other stuff as well. We're going to start off with what could be the most cringe title of the lockdown. Man United transfer plea. Yeah, it works, but it's actually to do with the player. So if you've got any other players that work in that way, it's Alassane Plea of Borussia Mönchengladbach. So Manchester United transfer Plea. Plea, we do want to transfer, but also it's his name. So this was coming out from Sky Germany. I think we spoke about it last week, but again, it's come out from Bild that Manchester United, Leicester, Spurs and Arsenal are willing to offer £40 million for Alassane Plea, who is Borussia Mönchengladbach's forward. He scored at the weekend. Mönchengladbach doing very well at the moment. I believe they're firmly into the top. I think they're actually third at the moment. So doing very well. Zakaria is a player that we really like of theirs, but he's currently not even playing for them. He's got a bad knee injury. But Plea is banging in the goals and is a focal point of that side. Formerly of Lille, from the famous Lyon conveyor belt of youth, young French talent. What's he all about? What's the big idea with Plea? Well, I'll tell you what the big idea with Plea is. He is 27 years of age. He's 5'11". He's only played for France once. And as a player, he's been likened to Harry Kane. I don't really understand why he's been likened to Harry Kane. Suffice to say, he's a good finisher. He's very intelligent in the movement that he makes. And he's good at holding the ball up. But I think his biggest asset is probably finishing. Aerial-wise, not amazing because he's 5'11", but not bad. Pace-wise, look, I think a lot of people think young French striker is going to be fast. Actually, that's probably not. He's not fast. He's not super fast. But the interesting thing is, whilst he plays up front, he can do a job off the left and the right. And I'm just wondering, is there something in this now? Because it's starting to get mentioned quite a bit. And does Alassane Plea actually fit what Manchester United are looking for in a striker? They want somebody with a pedigree in European football who's going to come to the club and not expect to necessarily start, but be good enough to start and push the players in the starting team if they're not good enough, or he excels beyond what the purchase is meant to be all about. And I think Alassane Plea in that way is rather interesting and is certainly somebody worth keeping an eye on over the next few weeks, because if you want to keep Ighalo, Alassane Plea is the same sort of striker as that, but 4 years younger. If you want to bring Timo Werner in, he's going to want to start. If you want to bring Moussa Dembele in, he's going to expect to be starting. Jimenez probably the same. So Alassane Plea is quite an interesting one, because I think he would come to Manchester United very hungry to prove himself. He's at that right age as well where, at 27, he ain't got time to be hanging around, but he's experienced enough to know his worth and what he can bring to a team. And I certainly think as a player, being French as well, look, the French connection with the likes of Martial and Pogba, that's never a bad thing. But also, I think the main thing is that I think he would come to the club. It would be a step up, obviously, from Mönchengladbach to Manchester United. He brings a goal-scoring pedigree, which is very, very important. And also, I think he would be happy to start on the bench and work his way in. So it ticks a lot of boxes for Manchester United, especially for £40 million. And as we said last night, look, United are definitely in for Timo Werner. And I think if you've got a choice between Timo Werner for £50 million and Alassane Plea for £40 million, you're going to go with Werner, and you're going to deal with the fact that he wants to play every week once he's at the club, because he's a top quality player. And look, everyone else is going to respond to that. But if you can't do that deal, then maybe this is quite an interesting deal for Manchester United to do. So I'd certainly, look, I still think it's a little bit left field, but there is a growing weight of story behind him, especially from Germany. And I do think that he is a player that certain other Premier League clubs would be looking at. I mean, to be honest with you, I think if Leicester are looking for a longer term replacement for Vardy, look, he hasn't got the explosive pace, but I certainly think he wouldn't be a bad signing for them. But look, let's just wait and see what happens there. Alassane Plea, very interesting. So, and would you take him? Let's talk about training. Now, David Ornstein put a tweet out this morning. Very interesting things about the return of the Premier League, actually. I saw Simon Jordan on Newsnight last night. And look, I totally disagree with what that guy has said about fan cams and fan channels. But actually, he was talking a lot of sense. And he was basically saying that, look, the problem with football is it's all about money. It's all about money. And that's why they want football to come back. And he said, look, I want to see it back. Probably in July, just to make sure we're over the curve. But I want to see it back, but I think the main reason is that football is about the money. That's what it's all about. And you get these footballers saying that they don't really want to come back, but then they won't take pay cuts to allow football to stay away for longer. So clubs can't afford to keep paying the massive wages of the players if they don't bring football back. And in the main, footballers won't take the pay cuts required. So it's all about money. I think we all know that. But I do think football will try and come back. So what's the situation? Apparently 19, this is from David Ornstein, apparently 19 of the 20 Premier League clubs have been tested and they will get their results today so that they know whether they can start training tomorrow or maybe this afternoon. If they test positive, they will be self-isolated for 7 days, and those players who aren't will start training. 19 of the 20 clubs have been tested. The 20th club apparently was already tested yesterday, so they'll get their results in as well. And then obviously we'll start training. There's a talk of training being limited to 75 minutes for the first week. And I think it's going to be a real exercise in sports science, by the way. How do you get these players back fit for the Premier League without letting them play pre-season games when they've had the biggest period of time off they've ever had in their careers, unless they've been injured, which is 2 months. So it's going to be a real challenge. But only yesterday we saw with the Scottish Premier League, they've done what the French League done. They've basically ended the season. They've handled the title to Celtic. They've relegated Hearts. I'm sure there might be some legal challenge there. But this is an eye-opener to the teams that we think have been a bit restrictive to the Premier League returning. The Brightons, the Norwich, the Watford, the Aston Villas. That, look, the alternative here is if football doesn't come back, you're going to get relegated if you're in the bottom three. So I think there will be more of a general appetite to get football back now. And as long as the numbers keep coming down in this country, I think everybody, or the vast majority of people, are open to the fact that we should give it a go, and I think that's what will happen. But interesting days and weeks ahead with that. Very, very quickly, I mean, there's a lot. I've got to talk about a left back that we've been linked to. Also, Koulibaly again, Rabiot. But Rio Ferdinand has come out and said that again. I mean, he said it a few weeks ago, but it was on Radio 5 Live where he's repeated it. That the 3 signings United should make are Jadon Sancho, Saul Niguez, and Kalidou Koulibaly. Now, look. We're not going to sign Saul Niguez and we're not going to sign Koulibaly as far as I'm concerned. As much as I like both players, we're not going to. I think we will sign Sancho. So that's, a centre-back, a centre midfielder and a right winger, right? That's Rio's 3 picks. You can put your 3 picks in the comments below, but for the purpose of a bit of entertainment, Rio says the 3 signings he would go for are Koulibaly, Saul Niguez and Jadon Sancho. The 3 signings I would go for are Sancho, Timo Werner and Jude Bellingham. And my 3 will be a lot cheaper than his 3, but I think they are better. Jude Bellingham is a centre defensive midfielder with masses of potential, that if we don't get him, someone else will get him, and he could go on to be one of the world's best. Jadon Sancho, Rio's gone for him, and so have I. And Timo Werner is a striker that we need. We need a striker, and he can play across the front 3. So it's interesting. Which way would you go? Would you go with Rio's, Koulibaly, Saul Niguez, and Sancho, or would you go with my Sancho, Werner, and Bellingham? I suspect a lot of people might go with Rio. I suspect they will. But I firmly would go with those, because you get a striker, you get a young midfielder who can learn off the likes of Matic and McTominay and Fred and Pogba and Bruno and become one of the world's best. And you get Sancho. Whereas with Saul Niguez, we've already got Pogba, we've already got Fred, and I know he's better than them, but he's not a holding midfielder either. Koulibaly, I mean, we need a striker, and Koulibaly, I think it's a lot. I know I've got no issue with what Rio's saying there, but I just think we need different things this summer. But let me know what you think. I think a lot of you will go with Rio, to be fair. Let's talk about this left-back link. This is a Monaco left-back from the Times. I think it's Duncan Castles. A few of you were talking about it last night. Fode Bello-Torre, 23 years of age, left-back at Monaco. Apparently United are looking at him. I've never heard anything about this. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. My opinion on this is this won't happen. And look, the Times are credible. Duncan Castles has been good on a lot of things, but he has, like any journalist, he gets things wrong, and it doesn't mean that we're not. I mean, we're probably scouting him. I'm sure we are, and I'm not. I don't know that we're not going to sign him, but I just don't see it. Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams are our left backs. I'm very happy with that. A lot of fans are very happy with that. It's not a priority position for Manchester United. I mean, look, left back for me. I don't think we need a centre back. I think we need a right winger, a midfielder and a striker if we're signing 3 players. Then you look at a centre-back and then maybe a left-back. But I would actually think we need another midfielder before we need a left back. So for me, low priority, and I think United will treat it at that as well. Gazzetta dello Sport are talking about Adrian Rabiot again. They're saying that there is a very big chance that he will come to the Premier League with Manchester United and Everton, the front runners. I think that Everton might get Rabiot, actually. Everton do have money. I think he would suit a club like that, and Ancelotti would be the right sort of manager for him. I don't think he's coming to Manchester United unless we're going to give Juventus Pogba. So I'm sort of the opinion, if we get linked to any Juventus players this summer, it's all about Pogba going the other way. And it's a bit like Real Madrid when we used to get linked to Real Madrid players when they wanted De Gea, and now they want Pogba. If you're talking about a Real Madrid player or a Juventus player coming to United this summer, you're talking about Pogba going. So I don't see Rabiot coming to Manchester United, and I wouldn't want him part of a Pogba deal, but I think he is a player that we're going to get continually linked to. We mentioned Koulibaly. Rio said he'd bring him in. Another Italian outlet saying that Manchester United have got a 50% chance of signing him. Liverpool's 25%, PSG 25%. I don't think we'll sign Koulibaly. I mean, I literally said it 2 minutes ago, so I can't go, it's interesting. I do not see United signing Koulibaly because, I mean, look at what Rio said, or look at what they're saying about Koulibaly. You know Sancho's going to cost you around 90 million quid. You know that Saul Niguez is going to cost you around 90 million quid. And you know that Koulibaly is going to cost you around 90 million pounds. There's no way United are spending 270 million pounds on 3 players. And yes, look, Pogba might go, but I don't think we'd spend £200 million on 2 players either. So I don't see Koulibaly coming to United. And I'm not convinced that Koulibaly is what Solskjaer's looking for. Koulibaly could come in and play with Maguire and there'd be a very good partnership. But they're both, well Maguire's like 27. I think Koulibaly's 29. I think we're going to look at longer term. Can Twansebi come through? Can Bay stay fit? And do we bring another centre-back in who's got potential like a Ruben Diaz from Benfica, or maybe a Konate from RB Leipzig. So I don't see us going for Koulibaly, but the Italian press are constantly mentioning Manchester United. And as I've said before, I like Koulibaly. I'd be very excited if we signed Koulibaly, but I really do feel this goes back to United's major interest in Koulibaly 2 years ago when we offered big money for him and they rejected it. So, you know, the Italian press are on safe ground. Koulibaly wants to go. They know United bid for him a couple of years ago. Let's chuck United in because it's always going to generate a lot of interest. But I don't think that we actually are looking at Koulibaly this summer. As much as I would like us to, I just don't think that we will do it, if I'm absolutely honest. Zaniolo is another player that we've been linked to again. Roma may need to sell Zaniolo. Attacking midfielder, can play in any midfield position, but he's more of an attacking midfielder. Potentially they sort of call him the new Totti. I wouldn't go that far, but there's a feeling that Roma may have to sell him. Tonali looks like he's going to go to Inter Milan. Zaniolo, I would imagine, would go to Juventus or Inter Milan or AC Milan or somewhere like that. I don't see him coming to the Premier League. I don't think, unfortunately, many Italian players do that. And I certainly don't think he's the sort of player that United would look at. Although he's very good, he's very young, I don't think United would look at that. But it was certainly, he could be on the move this summer, like a few younger Italian players. But I think that they will ultimately end up playing in the Serie A, if I'm honest with you. Yes. Flex and Rant Show is back live at 1 o'clock today on this channel, and I'll be back live at 8 o'clock tonight. Lots for you to talk about. Make sure you smash a like on the video, everybody. Which 3 would you go with? Would you go with Rios, Koulibaly, Saul Niguez and Sancho, or would you go with my Sancho, Werner and Bellingham? I think mine's the better one. It would definitely be cheaper, and it's the better longevity, certainly, and a better fit, but vote with what you want. Alassane Plea, could he be the signing that United need up front at a reasonable price if we can't get a Werner and a Garlo goes? And also get your comments in about everything else. Looking like football coming back as well. We'll see how that goes over the next few hours. Also, just a little bit of a heads up. With football coming back, will we get more regular contact with Solskjaer? Will we start to see some press conferences, which I think could be nice? And also on Thursday, there is the quarterly financial meeting where Woodward talks to the shareholders. There's sometimes some interesting quotes around transfer appetite from that on Thursday. So some potentially big news this week. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video and I'll speak to you all later. And remember, it's the Champions League final. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football, 2:30, Manchester United Champions League final. The obsession, destiny is all. Join me on that at 2:30 and speak to you soon.